doing one thing that you hate at least once a day. I've
Yeah.
always been striving to get better at that because once you master that, doing what you love, I love music, okay?
Yeah.
So that I'll do anyway, right? But practicing is not the same thing. You have to hate it because if you're not hating it, you're doing something wrong.
Hello everyone, Namaste. You're watching the seventh episode of the MidVibe. I'm Ashna Taneja and I bring to you one person each week who's at the middle of his or her own journey towards that one big goal. Today I have with me Ayush Handa. He's an amazing musician and even an exceptional pianist, and why not? Because he's been playing the piano since the age of 3. We talk about the common misconceptions and stereotypes that a musician in our society has to face, and we also touch upon his drug addiction phase, which was quite a difficult time in his life. Let's dive right into our conversation and see how his journey has been so far.
Bata.
Hi,
Hi,
how
how's
are
it
you
going?
doing? क्या हाल चाल?
बिल्कुल ठीक है.
Okay, so I was going through your page and tell me more about this new playlist, the recent album that you launched, right? Tell me more about that.
Right, I've recently launched a single. It's called Chookar, and
Okay.
it's mostly the mindset of an addict when something like that happens in his life. So I was going through a phase
Okay.
when basically in the middle of the song there comes a phase when things go bad. But in
Okay.
an addict's mind, he doesn't know that things have gone bad. He
Mm-hmm.
can only think of things that he can think of when he's on drugs. So he's just thinking, he's feeling sad, but he can't express it. So that's basically what the lyrics are also about. So he's trying to express sadness, but he can't. So he's just repeating the same things over and over again.
So
Okay.
tell me, did you always want to be like a musician, full core musician?
Yeah. So when I was 3, my parents got me to learn the piano
Hmm.
because we had a neighbor who was quite good at piano, and she was like,
Achha.
"Hey, this boy likes music." Because I used to dance to MTV or some shit like that. And my parents were like, "Chalo, इसे piano सिखा देते." So I was learning, and since then, obviously, when you're 3, if you started when you were so young, you'll obviously get good at it
Hmm.
by the time. It was already I had already spent about 10 years on the piano when I was 13 or something, right? So I didn't
Hmm.
have a direction to go to, but I had the skill. I got the direction
Hmm.
when I was 18, but like definitely had the skill, and that's why since the beginning only, when I was 5 years old, also I wanted to become a musician only. So that
Wow.
dream never changed.
So you always
So
had your
that way it's been
priorities
good.
set since the beginning.
Yeah, I mean music over everything.
That's
Over
cool,
my
man. I
health
wish I
also.
had
Over
this thing.
everything.
Like I'm still trying to figure out what is it that I want to do in my life. So you're lucky that way, since you have it all figured
Yeah,
out.
I would say so. It was never a question, basically.
Especially in our country, because obviously we all know it's like a very common fact that musicians don't have that platform that other countries provide. And even in terms of the perception that people have of musicians, do you want to talk more on that line right now?
Right. I would say India is a great country for music because
Yeah.
there are more opportunities in India than abroad. In terms of perception, obviously, yeah, India is pathetic at that. Because the
Okay.
only thing that people think about when they think about a musician is like they'll have success when they become big or when they make it.
Yeah.
That's when you have success. But the
Hmm.
truth of the matter is you can make a very good living just by doing sessions and teaching or whatever else that musicians do, arranging
Hmm.
and scoring and whatever. So I would say like music is a great career choice. See, the people who are starving musicians are usually indie musicians who are very small time indie musicians and
Okay.
don't get a lot of gigs. That is a
Okay.
bad place to be right now because and I mean right now I am going to that phase because you
Okay.
have to go through that phase if you want to get to making it or whatever. But if you
Hmm.
stay with sessions, like till right now, I was doing sessions, I was arranging, I was performing, and I was teaching.
Hmm.
So I would say musicians in India are paid more than engineers. Like
What?
I, there is nobody my age that I know who's
Hmm.
earning as much as me
Wow.
right now.
That's
So
amazing.
I would say that even after 5 7 years of
Hmm.
engineering or whatever education doctors do, engineers do, musicians earn more if you do the right things. The problem is everyone has this in their head that they have to make it to do it. So they go the
Yeah.
indie artist way instantly.
Now that you're saying this, I think everyone tries to like romanticize the concept of being a musician, like a rock star, performing at gigs or
Exactly.
making it to Bollywood. But nobody really takes care of those everyday, day to day, the classes, for instance, you were saying, sessions.
Exactly. Yeah. It's because it's an economic world, man. If you're not making money, you're not doing anything. I mean,
Absolutely.
I'm the first person to say that don't do what you love. Like, do
Okay,
what you're good at.
what you're good at.
I mean, if I wasn't good at, because your passion can change at all times. At any
Mm-hmm.
point, your passion can change. Sometimes I feel like, oh, these days I'm getting a lot into fitness. Maybe I should become a bodybuilder. Like, I've had that phase before,
Yeah.
right? And like passion will always change, but like your skill will not change. The fact that music has always been a passion of mine, but like there are other passions that come and go, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
should always know what you're good at, and that takes a lot of critical thinking also.
What are the things you are good at? What do you think? If you had the option of being something else but a musician, what would that be?
See, the thing is that I'm not good at anything else in general. Like, I don't think I'm great at anything else. But like,
Okay.
I would say I have other passions, but I would not be able to make a career out of those. So this was my only option in general. But but then I didn't need another option. I was lucky enough that it's always been there and it's always helped me
Excelling
out
at that.
somehow. Yeah. So it's like when you were kids, you would think about like what you would do. It was very clear in my head. So I never had to
Hmm.
concentrate even in school in general. Like I barely even went to classes because because in my head I already knew where I was gonna be. And that's
Yeah,
exactly where I am today.
that's
And
amazing.
I guess it's also like manifestation of your thoughts in a way.
Hmm.
But like
Do you believe in that?
uh,
The secret?
I mean I've read it. But I think you have to work for it as well. But to an extent, it does work because it at least keeps you motivated enough.
What keeps you hungry to even strive more?
I would say the biggest thing is when you're a kid. When I was 3 years old, I started with the piano. The piano
Yeah.
is a very difficult skill for a kid to learn.
Hmm.
They usually say you should get to 8 and then start
Oh, okay.
because it takes a lot of discipline to get to practice and like your hands are too small and there's a lot of effort to
Hmm.
be done with a kid.
Yeah.
But the thing that the piano taught me in general is the discipline. Like even if I hated practicing, nobody likes practicing. If you're liking practicing any instrument, you're doing it wrong. But like
Okay.
you're playing then. But the fact that I was practicing again and again got me into a habit to do one thing that I absolutely hated every day. And I think that is the biggest skill that any person can have. The biggest thing, biggest quality that one person can have to succeed is discipline. Nothing else you require. If you have discipline, everything else will get sorted. The problems come when the discipline goes away. So when I'm aiming high, whatever, I'm very competitive in general. So when I'm
Hmm.
aiming high, I'm already having a goal, and I'll never reach that goal. There are some people who tell
Hmm.
me that like you should get comfortable with it, like you should I will never be comfortable with myself.
Yeah.
With myself, yes, but in general, like with my goal or where I am at, I will always want to go further.
I even very recently heard this somewhere that, if you get too comfortable, you will never succeed. And the enemy of success is not failure, because people think, yeah, मैंने इतना fail कर लिया, how am I going to reach that point where I want to be. But it's actually you getting very complacent and very comfortable where you are. You don't want to grow further. So you need to keep growing. You need to keep building on what you have.
Exactly. And also talking about failure, I am a person who hates losing.
Yeah.
The thing that I hate the most in life is losing. Okay, I don't play video games because I hate losing. So, so,
Okay.
so I mean, the thing is, whenever I fail at something, it becomes an obsession for me. Everything else does not matter. I will not sleep for 3 days if I can't get a piece right, or if I can't do something that was my goal and I failed at it. I will stop everything else. I will stop eating. I will stop sleeping, which is unhealthy, very
Yeah.
unhealthy.
Yeah, it is.
But it's just my nature, and I've gotten used to it now. So I guess that also drives me a lot.
When was the last time you failed at something?
I fail at something quite often, at least once or twice, like in a month or so. I create my own competitions if it's not created for me. And sometimes I even make up stories in my head just to keep myself motivated.
Like what sort of
Like I will,
stories though?
like I will create a like if there's a person who's doing good at work or music or whatever, I will create a story in my head that this guy is better than me, and like this guy has told me that like you're not that great. I will create it and I'll convince myself that this has happened so that I
But
can
doesn't
be
that backstab
get
you
to that
because
level.
you're trying to like degrade yourself in
Compare,
someone else?
yeah, no, but see how I talk. See, there are different kinds of people. Some people
Yeah.
like to talk positive to themselves.
Yeah. I'm one of
I
them.
I like other people to talk positive of me. That
Yeah.
doesn't matter. But I am the most negative person to myself in general. Like I've just gotten accustomed to it. Like I talk to myself like a really bad person in general. But every time I do that, I've gotten used to it. So I've started loving that person itself. You know,
Mm.
like I know that critical self-talk is what gets me to my goals. So I've
Mm.
gotten comfortable with it.
Wow. I can't. I just can't do that. I mean, I feel like other people's perceptions are already enough for me. I don't need more negative self talk happening because nobody's going to stop, right? There's somebody or the other always going to
Yeah,
pinpoint
that's true.
some criticism, some point. I was like, let it be.
I would
I'll love myself. That's all.
I would say I love myself too, but
But you
I
are your
am
biggest
very
critique, which
critical of
helps you.
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, which helps me if someone says something negative. I'm always like I've heard it before from myself.
Oh, wow. Nice, yeah. Wow. I'm trying to like simmer this thing in my head. So, coming back to that addiction wave, I'm calling it a wave because it has passed, obviously. I know that about you.
Right.
And how strong are you? Like 5 years, 4 years,
3 years
3
almost.
years? Wow.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that.
So it was basically like it was something that started when I was 12,
Hmm.
and it was not harming me to an extent. Like I was doing okay in school also, and I was doing okay. I was doing well in music. So
Hmm.
I nobody thought it was a problem, and like nobody even knew. Hardly people knew.
Okay.
But as I grew older, it got more and more difficult. And once I reached 12th class, and like once I passed out of school, that's when things started getting out of hand.
Hmm.
But the turning point was when I went to Chennai. So I had
Okay.
gone to for college, and I started getting a lot of attention because I was very good at what I was doing,
Hmm.
and I was getting attention from my peers who were bigger names in the music industry,
Okay. Okay.
right? And at that age, at 18, if you're getting that kind of attention and like you're getting money for the first time
Yeah.
and like you're like, what is happening? So
Hmm.
at that time, I was like, see, these guys also do it. No,
Yeah.
If they can handle it, even I can handle it. But
Mm. Mm.
till one point, I was still controlling it
Mm-hmm.
as such. Okay, but at one point, I just lost it because, ek to I was very, as I said, I was very competitive.
Yeah.
And people in the music industry don't sleep. Like that is a
Yeah,
very
I've
common
heard that.
factor. Okay.
Yeah.
So, so whatever I used to use just to stay up.
Mm.
And because I didn't want to sleep, if I sleep, I
Yeah.
will lose, right? And that was my
Mm.
biggest
And you
fear.
don't want to lose. Yeah.
So, so, so basically, that's how I started. But after a point, there came a point when I hadn't slept for weeks almost, and I was seeing things. So how it started manifesting is because there was such a lot of drug abuse, and
Mm.
plus there were a lot of money involved, and like as a kid who's very ambitious, he's
Yeah.
doing everything he can to make it right.
Mm-hmm.
And like as I said, that perception in India that if you don't make it, you're nothing. That was
Yeah.
obviously there at that time.
Mm.
So at that time, I was doing all of that and I wasn't sleeping. And obviously, like it had its effects. And I got psychosis, which is basically seeing people and hearing voices all the time.
Mm.
So that is what happened in Chennai. And basically, long story short, I used to see babies crawl on the ceiling. I used to see ghosts sleeping next to me. I used to see snakes
Mm.
everywhere. And like, I used
How
to
did you
hear
handle
voices
that?
all the time. And these voices would be repetitive. So you can't handle that, man. You just go insane, basically. There was a point when I wasn't in control after that. And
Okay.
as soon as I started going out of control, then I came back to Delhi.
Okay.
And eventually, I did go to rehab.
Okay.
And in rehab, I didn't have a great experience. I got beaten up in the rehab. It made it even worse. So when I came out, I was worse than was when I went in.
Mm-hmm.
And every time something or the other, people don't understand is addiction is a disease.
Mm.
Okay, I was an addict when I was born. I was genetically disposed to become an addict. So even when I had chocolate, I get addicted to everything. If I eat food, I get
Mm.
addicted to food. If I have sex, I get
Mm.
addicted to sex. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
it's like I get addicted to everything. So when you don't know you're an addict, you obviously don't know. You think
Yeah.
everybody's like this,
You're
right?
not aware
But
if it
after
within.
you're not aware of it. So
Yeah.
when all of this was happening, I was not aware that I'm an addict. And that's the problem. Addiction is worse than cancer as a disease because you're dying, your entire family will not sympathize with you, your friend circle will not sympathize with you, nobody in the
Mm.
world will sympathize with you, and you'll suffer alone. Everybody will leave you in the end. Even your family will leave you, everybody will leave you. And that is what ends up happening to most addicts.
Okay.
Why I was lucky is because my family gave up, but they did not leave me. My family were like, ठीक है अब now we reached a point when we can't help him anymore
Mm-hmm.
because till the time he realizes it himself. But they
Yeah.
did not leave me. They did not throw me out of the house or something.
Mm.
Right. So after all that, like there was a point when I had paralyzed my foot also
Okay.
by injecting heroin in my foot. And
Mm-hmm.
basically, there were a lot of things that happened by that point. I was told by the doctor that I'm going to go insane in a few years, that I'll become a vegetable. So I got depressed as well. I got anxiety attacks all the fucking time. And I got a huge number. Like, if you see my psychiatrist report by the psychiatrist, I have pretty much every disease, mental health disease at one point. I didn't even know half the names and what they meant.
How did you come
Right.
out of
But
everything?
like, so
Because
how I
now
came
when
out
I
of it is
see
like,
you, you're perfectly fine. You're perfectly functioning well.
thank
And
you.
that's like a big, big, big achievement. Like even a big achievement is an understatement because I'm sure it must have been so difficult. So how did you come
Yeah.
out of it?
So firstly, I became self-aware by my entire life flashed before my eyes. I knew that if I'm gonna continue using, I was gonna die. So and I had experiences in which I was ended up in the hospital,
Mm.
and at that point I was like, is it really worth it? Like there has
Mm.
to be some solution to it, right? And that's when I went to my family and told them that like we need help, and this time we don't need a rehab because the rehab is not gonna help you, man. And see, it helps some people who are willing to go, and some people maybe who are not unwilling to go. But like for me, it did not work at all. So how I went to some a person in Ames, and he basically gave me a lot of medicines to get my addiction out first,
Okay.
because because the withdrawals for that are insanely bad. And after that,
Okay.
I had PTSD because the abuse that I faced in the rehab
Mm.
by getting beaten up and
Yeah.
like this stuff that I had seen, I had severe PTSD, which I completely ignored for 1 year because I was like, I was so determined to get out of it at one point that like
Mm.
even if I felt bad, even if I did, uh, even if everything was happening, I started working by that point. I went
Mm.
for work, I did everything, and I started everything, and I felt horrible. But I said, fuck it, we will think about feelings after 2 years. So,
My God. And did that turn back on you in a wrong way?
I mean, it turned back quite a few times, but I had some sort of willpower to saying that, like, it doesn't matter because I couldn't feel anything anyway.
Okay.
You get it? Because of the chemical imbalances and because all the drug abuse, I couldn't feel a lot of things. I could only feel sadness at one point. And
Mm.
even if something happy used to happen, I couldn't feel it. So after some point, like after a year around that much, the PTSD effect started coming down a little.
Mm.
And I think on my birthday in 2018 is when things actually flipped. So I was out of rehab and I was sober for about a year and more than a year. And I was like, uh, I had gone with my friends and I wasn't picking up any calls.
Mm.
Like I had received some 100 calls on my birthday and I was with my friends and I didn't pick up any calls.
Okay.
And my friends were like, why aren't you picking up calls? So I was like, यार मुझे खुद नहीं अच्छा लग रहा मैं क्या बात करूं.
Mm.
So it's like, see, at one point you have to just fake it till you make it. Like fake being happy till you get happy. I think that is the solution. That is the solution that worked for me. Because I just faked being happy for as long as I remember till the time I
Mm.
actually started feeling happy. So 31st of October 2018, I've had a smile on my face for no reason. And seemed psychotic, but like that really helped me because
Okay.
just just smiling in general, like even in the rehab, even in like therapy, they give you these exercises, like smile
Yeah.
in front of a mirror, tell yourself that you love yourself,
Yeah.
and like things like that help.
Mm.
So I kept doing that, but uh, so after about 3 months of doing that, I started feeling a little happier.
Mm-hmm.
Till the time, like about January 2019, I was back to normal. So
Wow.
that is when things flipped, basically.
Wow.
But at this point, I would say that the Ayush from 2017 to 2018 was the most determined Ayush
Yeah.
because the amount of work that I did, I used to go for work at 8 a.m. and I used to come back around 1 a.m. And I used to go
Okay.
back at 8 a.m. 7 days a week, no days off, Saturday, Sunday working. So I was making a lot of money also because in my head I was saying कि मैं बहुत पीछे हो गया हूँ.
Mm.
I need to catch up with my
Yeah.
peers. And that is what I pushed myself also, and I guess that also was the reason of my unhappiness in general. So so in 2019 when I reached 2019 I was like चल ठीक है, now you can ease it a little. So I still work a lot but not as much as I used to work. at that time. That was insane, and I don't recommend it to anyone. So
Now, do you feel like do you deny your feelings? Like at that time, you did deny your feelings, the PTSD
no,
feeling.
now I feel happy, sad, whatever I want to feel,
Now you
I'm
accept
fine with
it.
it because yeah, I've just
Yeah.
become better at accepting it also and better
Mm.
at not letting my emotions go haywire. Because as an addict, obviously, if you feel emotions and like you start using, you just ruined everything. So there's a saying, once an addict, always an addict. Like
Mm.
you're one drink away, or you're one smoke away, or you're one line away from being back to square one. So
You
that's
agree
why
with
they
that?
always say once in a, I 100% agree with that.
Mm.
That is why you have to just remember that you are an addict so that you just don't do it. And there are communities like that, Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, that help you do that. I don't go to any of them, but many addicts find solace in that. But yeah, so yeah,
So
basically
you
that's the
came out
story.
of this phase on your own with your friends and family support, but apart from like medical psychiatric help, did you also have like a psychological help, like conversational help?
I had psychological help, which did not help me
Okay.
in general because I'm a very secretive person. Like I'm
Hmm.
not. I don't think there's any other person who's as secretive as me. So
Okay.
I have so many things that I don't tell anyone that only I can talk to myself for many
Hmm.
things. Like I'm an open book at many other things, but there are some things
Hmm.
that nobody will let know.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
so for those things, I would say it was self-talk only that helped me.
Hmm.
And I guess that made me a lot more independent as well. Because before that, I would say my life from the age till the age of 18, like my life was I was laid back. I was not doing much. I had no problems in life. Like in general, I don't remember a unhappy moment throughout my childhood.
Hmm.
So uh, how how all that turned around just gave me like lessons in general. Like
You're
going
grateful for
through that
this.
hardship. Yeah, I'm definitely grateful for everything. I'm grateful for drugs too. Like, I'm grateful for everything that happened, even though even though it felt horrible and it
Hmm.
broke me in many other ways.
Hmm.
Like, and still I sometimes curse that phase. But in the bigger picture, I would say I'm 100% grateful because like that experience is what made me who I am today. I would be a different person today. I would not have the same
Hmm.
amount of discipline, the same amount of strength, the same amount of willpower if I didn't go through
Endurance.
that phase. And
Yeah.
yeah, and plus nothing phases me anymore. Like at that time, I had seen everything, man. Obviously, like nothing really surprises me anymore. So,
Hmm.
so like that way has made me a lot stronger.
And if you could point out just one thing that you're extremely grateful for, and that one lesson you definitely learned and will pass it on to maybe another addict you meet, what would that be?
To another addict, I would say that like just don't give up because if you give up on yourself, the world will too. Because the world will give up on you
First, and
before
then, yeah,
you
yeah.
do. So, so in the end, it's only you who's gonna get you ahead. If you give up, you've lost the battle.
Wow. Oh, too
And
much
trust
to
me, I've
take
hit a lot
in.
of things still because it would be too long otherwise, and like a lot more scarring for people who are listening.
I don't think it's scarring. I mean, it's what it is about, right? We have to put these things out there because not everyone is aware. Like I wasn't aware. Oh, tell me about that rehab thing. So you are saying that the rehab was not really good. Like it wasn't good. They were treating you badly. Experience was really painful.
Yeah, see,
What do you think they
in
are doing
India,
wrong?
in India, there is no rule for a rehab. Anybody can open a rehab. Anybody who's an addict can open a rehab. It's not very
Okay.
hard. You need a few documents and you open a rehab. So a lot of people who run rehab are not doctors. You get it? They're just people who run rehabs. And that is the problem. That is where the problem lies. And also in India, it's illegal to put anybody in rehab without their own permission abroad.
Consent. Yeah.
In India,
Okay.
also it's illegal, but nobody follows the rules. If your parents sign some document, you will go to rehab. So a lot of the addicts that go to rehab have gone unwillingly. And that is why rehab is not a great idea, at least for most people. Because when they go there, and it's also a very big scam also, because a lot of people just overcharge you for a lot more things
Mm-hmm.
and basically just con your parents because if you say anything, so even what happened with my parents was like they would say like why does he have to stay for 8 months? Why does he have to just stay here? Why can't I see him? And they would say if you don't do this, तुम्हारा बच्चा मर जाएगा क्योंकि
Oh,
तुम्हारा
so
बच्चा मर
like
रहा है, right?
emotionally pulling the wrong strings.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
because you have been almost dying pretty much at
Hmm.
that time, your parents will get convinced of everything.
Correct.
They
Yeah.
can con you to anything. Basically, I got beaten up for a very long time. And like by beaten up, I mean I got cigarettes burnt on me. I got my hands were bleeding. They would make me do pocha with my hands. They would make me sleep on the floor, clean the entire place, clean the toilets.
How
They
is
would
that
beat
even
me up
allowed?
because no, because it can be done.
Nobody's
No, so
regulating.
nobody is regulating. No police officers come there. Police is actually bought by them, so you can't even put a case on them because you have no proof. Even if I want to put a case on them, I can't do it, and
Mm.
that's why there's no point of even naming the people because you can't do
Uh,
anything.
Obviously, yeah.
So there are a lot of people like this who suffer from this, but nobody can do anything. Of course, there are good people too. Like I
Yeah.
would say the guy who helped me was Dr. Balahara in Ames.
Okay.
He really helped me because he got me medicines for my addiction. And I went to him when I was in a place when my parents still could have been manipulated. And he didn't charge
Mm-hmm.
a penny. And like he
Oh,
was really a godsend for me at that time.
mm.
So you can't do much.
We're on a positive note. You are 3 years stronger. Let's, yeah, about that.
Yeah, definitely.
Now that we're talking about something positive, tell me what's your mid vibe like? And the mid vibe is basically what's your vibe like right now? What's that phase you're in right now, emotional zone of yours at this point of your journey as a musician? What would that be?
As a musician, I would want consistency because if you keep if you keep logging your progress and keep doing it again and again, that is how you progress in anything, not just music, anything. That's how you progress, consistency.
Okay. Hmm.
But in general, as I said, as a kid, doing what you hate at least once a day. Doing one thing that you hate at least once a day. I've
Yeah.
always been striving to get better at that because once you master that, doing what you love, I love music, okay?
Yeah.
So that I'll do anyway, right? But practicing is
Mm.
not the same thing. You have to hate it because
Yeah.
if you're not hating it, you're doing something wrong. And in
Mm.
general, also a lot of things that you hate, like I don't particularly love working out. Okay, I love the results of working out.
Yeah.
So I
Everybody
do it
does.
because I want. Yeah, exactly. So I want to just keep getting better at getting myself to do the things that I hate.
That's such an amazing thing you said. Every person should do something that they hate every day. So that way they're actually getting out of their comfort zone.
Exactly. I'm a
And
firm believer in that.
yeah, and then you're also at the end of the day, when you go back to your bed, when you're thinking about how your day was, you get to pat yourself and tell yourself that you did something
That
that
you did
either
it.
you hate or you're afraid to do. Like
Exactly.
there are two things.
At
Either
least
you do
one thing.
something that Yeah, either you do something that you
Yeah.
hate or you do something that makes you fearful of something.
And in
No,
general, don't uh, do what you're good at. Aspiring musicians, do what you're
don't do
good
what
at.
you love, but do what you're good
Don't do what you love. Do
at.
what you're good at.
So that's the last
If you're
gyan.
good at music, great, great. Yeah. But see, loving something, if you're loving what you do, you'll progress at it faster.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's the thing. You have to love something for that long also, no? Like you have to love something for several years to get good at it. And that's
And
why
I
that's
think,
important. And plus it requires effort, man.
yeah,
Anything requires effort. Anything really. Anything worthwhile requires effort.
I think
So
I'm going to stop here with this
that's
thought.
good.
And thank you, Ayush. I'm so
Thank you,
thankful to you
Ashna.
for actually coming out and sharing such a dark story of your life in a very positive way. So that's a big thing. And kudos to you for making it this far.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's all. And I'll get the next episode next week. So thank you. Bye. I hope you gathered some key takeaways from this conversation. If you did, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, give us a review. Keep going, embrace your vibe. Until next time. Thank you. Take care.